Back in the year 2017, the Pokemon TCG entered the next generation with the release of Sun and Moon, a set that didn't really change the meta all too drastically, but just gave more support to what was already good at the time. Except for Decidueye GX, that deck immediately became one of the best decks in the format, all because of this disgusting card. But one card that made its way into multiple decks and strategies was a new Eevee card that had a very powerful ability which allowed it to see play in multiple different decks. Its ability said that if you attached an energy card from your hand onto it, you could evolve it into an eeveelution from your deck that has the same energy as the type of what you attached, meaning you could evolve it on the very first turn of the game by just attaching an energy to it. The Sun and Moon set also featured two GX eeveelutions to go alongside it, Umbreon GX and Espeon GX. The latter saw the most success as it was played alongside Mega Mewtwo EX. More and more eeveelutions were printed over the course of the Sun and Moon era, such as Jolteon GX, Flareon GX, Glaceon GX, and probably the most powerful one out of all of them, Sylveon GX. This card would see play in so many different decks just because of how useful its ability was, and the fact that pretty much every GX eeveelution was good. Unfortunately, as with every card in this game, it eventually rotated out. However, it might be seeing its return very soon. Over in Japan, there was an announcement a while ago about two pre-constructed decks that will be releasing at the end of August, one based around a new Celerouge EX and another based around Sylveon EX. Recently, a couple of new cards that will be debuting in those decks were revealed, including two new A-Spec cards, but that's not what this video is about. But before we get into the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as your support really does help out this channel. Because what was also revealed was a new Eevee card, because the Scarlet and Violet sets didn't already have enough of them. I swear there's been an Eevee printed in every single set this year. Anyway, this new Eevee has an ability that, while not exactly like the one from Sun and Moon, could still become just as powerful. Reading, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you can evolve it during your first turn, or on the turn it was put into play. Being able to evolve a Pokemon on your first turn is a very powerful ability, regardless of any stipulations or downsides. It doesn't evolve from having an energy attached, and it's not from the deck, but it can still evolve on turn 1, which could be very powerful. Keyword being could, because the current selection of eeveelutions we have in the game are passable at best, but this new Sylveon could prove to be very annoying with an attack that shuffles away two of your opponent's Pokemon back into the deck. Plus, if we get any more eeveelutions released later on, then this card will definitely be played in those decks, especially if they have any abilities that can be easily abused. Speaking of abilities that can be abused, this new Eevee, when combined with a different Eevee that was released quite a while ago, could lead to some very disgusting plays depending on exactly what eeveelutions we receive before the end of the year. This other Eevee card was released all the way back in Astral Radiance. Its ability says that when one of your other Eevee evolve, you can evolve this card into an eeveelution from your deck. So let's say you have the new Eevee in the active, because its ability only works while it's in the active, and you have 3 of the other Eevee on your bench. You evolve your active Eevee into, say, Sylveon EX. This means that your other 3 Eevees will trigger their ability, and you can evolve all 3 of them into eeveelutions as well. And better yet, you evolve them from the deck. So you now have 4 Stage 1 Pokemon in play, and it's your first turn of the game. The only big downside to this strategy is that you'll need to play a mix and match of different Eevee cards. Even though they're from different sets, they share the same name, so you can't play 4 of each, unlike other card games. Now, as I said before, the current eeveelution cards we have in the game are not the best, so as of right now there is no disgusting degenerate combo you can do with these cards, but there has been news that there will be a dedicated eeveelution set releasing later on this year, so depending on what is shown and what new eeveelutions we get, this combo could either be not worth it, or it could possibly be game breaking. After all, we have had some very powerful eeveelution cards released in the past. Glaceon GX was pretty much Iron Thorns EX, and it had an attack that could hit benched Pokemon, so there is a high possibility that we get some new and very playable cards from this set whenever it's released. Another thing to keep in mind is that this old Eevee card will only be legal until the beginning of next year, since it's part of the F-Block series of cards, which will be the next to go once rotation rolls around, whenever that is. So if anything degenerate does come out, it will only be for a couple of months. Nostalgia seems to be the current theme for the game recently. New abilities and cards that are just abilities and effects of old cards, but just a little different. There is the possibility that this card could also end up being just as splashable as the old Sun and Moon Eevee. The only issue being you need to draw into the eeveelution or have a way to search it, and this card needs to be in the active spot. But if we get any eeveelutions that are a repeat of Glaceon GX, then those issues are nullified. This card will definitely see play inside of eeveelution decks. If we see any pop up in the future, once we hear more and see more from this supposed set, as well as any other sets releasing in the years, this card will be legal. History probably won't be repeating itself, but we will just have to wait and see. I hope it does, because to be honest, we definitely need something to spice up the format, as long as they don't release a card that makes Charizard even more broken than it already is.